A dinner at a restaurant usually begins with small decisions that most people barely notice. Where to park, whether there will be a long wait, how loud the room will be, whether the server will come over quickly, whether splitting the bill will become awkward, whether the final price will be higher than expected after taxes and tips. In many countries, these little moments add up. None of them seem important on their own. Together, they quietly shape the entire experience. Then there is Japan. Millions of people eat out there every day, yet the process often feels unusually smooth. Guests walk in, order, eat, pay, and leave with remarkably little friction. The experience is calm rather than rushed, efficient without feeling cold, and predictable without becoming boring. The surprising part is that no single invention makes this happen. Instead, dozens of small systems work together so well that most visitors only notice one thing. Eating at restaurants in Japan somehow feels easier than they expected. For many Americans, going to a restaurant involves a surprising amount of uncertainty. A popular place might have an hour-long wait. The menu may not clearly show the final cost. A server might be responsible for many tables at once. The check may arrive only after someone asks for it. At the end of the meal comes another decision. How much should the tip be? Was the service good enough for 20%? Or should it be more or less? None of these moments are unusual. They are simply accepted as part of eating out. Japan approaches the same experience from a different direction. The goal is not to create a dramatic dining event. Instead, the system removes as many unnecessary decisions as possible. Small inconveniences are designed away before customers ever notice them. This philosophy appears almost everywhere. Outside many restaurants, realistic plastic food displays allow people to see exactly what each dish looks like before walking inside. Prices are usually displayed clearly, reducing uncertainty before anyone sits down. Many restaurants specialize in just one style of food. A ramen shop focuses on ramen. A sushi restaurant focuses on sushi. A curry restaurant serves curry in many variations. By narrowing the menu, kitchens become faster and more consistent. Customers also spend less time deciding what to order. Even the physical layout often supports efficiency. Counter seating allows solo diners to eat comfortably without occupying a large table. Small booths create privacy without wasting space. Water is commonly provided immediately after sitting down, often without being requested. Nothing about these details seems revolutionary, yet together they produce a dining experience that feels surprisingly calm. This did not happen by accident. It reflects decades of refinement shaped by crowded cities, limited space, demanding customers, and a culture that values making everyday life easier for everyone involved. The result is not simply better service. It is an entire restaurant system designed to reduce stress before it even begins. The first clue appears before anyone even opens the restaurant door. In many parts of Japan, choosing where to eat rarely feels like a gamble. Walking through neighborhoods in Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, or Fukuoka, visitors often notice detailed displays outside restaurants. Behind clean glass cases sit incredibly realistic replicas of meals. Bowls of ramen appear to steam. Curry shines under the lights. Tempura looks freshly fried. Desserts seem ready to eat. These are not photographs. They are handcrafted food models, known in Japan as shokuhin sanparu. The tradition dates back nearly a century, when restaurants wanted an easy way to show customers what they served, regardless of language or literacy. Over time, the models became so realistic that many visitors mistake them for real food. Their purpose is simple. They remove uncertainty. Instead of trying to imagine a dish from a short description, customers already know what they are ordering. Portion sizes become easier to judge. Ingredients become easier to recognize. Families can quickly agree on where to eat because everyone can literally see the options. For international tourists, the benefit is even greater. Even without speaking Japanese, a person can point to a display and receive exactly what they expected. Many American restaurants rely heavily on photographs inside menus or digital images online. Those systems work well, but they usually require customers to enter first or search beforehand. Japan moves the decision outside the restaurant itself. The result is a smoother beginning. Even before sitting down, much of the uncertainty has already disappeared. That same philosophy continues once customers enter. Another surprise for many visitors is how focused Japanese restaurants tend to be. Instead of offering dozens of unrelated dishes, many restaurants build their reputation around doing one thing exceptionally well. A ramen shop may offer only a handful of ramen varieties, plus a few side dishes. A tonkatsu restaurant specializes in breaded pork cutlets. A soba restaurant focuses on buckwheat noodles. A yakitori restaurant serves grilled chicken skewers prepared in different styles. At first, this limited selection may seem restrictive, especially to customers used to large menus with hundreds of choices. Yet psychologists have long observed that too many options can actually make decisions harder. The more choices people face, the more time they spend comparing them. Some even worry they picked the wrong meal after ordering. Japan quietly reduces that burden. Smaller menus help customers decide faster. They also simplify kitchen operations. Chefs repeat the same techniques throughout the day, allowing them to improve consistency. Ingredients are purchased in predictable amounts. Food waste can be reduced because demand is easier to estimate. The kitchen becomes faster. Customers spend less time waiting. Quality often becomes more reliable because each dish receives repeated attention. This specialization creates another unexpected effect. People often choose restaurants based on what they want to eat rather than simply where they happen to be. Someone craving ramen goes to a ramen shop. Someone wanting fresh sushi heads to a sushi restaurant. Instead of asking whether one restaurant has a little bit of everything, diners ask which restaurant prepares one particular food best. Entire neighborhoods develop around this idea. Small streets in Tokyo may contain several ramen shops located just steps apart. At first glance, this seems like fierce competition. In reality, each shop often develops its own loyal following. One becomes famous for rich pork broth. Another specializes in lighter soy-based soup. A third perfects handmade noodles. Customers compare styles rather than searching for the broadest menu. This level of specialization encourages restaurants to keep improving. Success depends less on flashy advertising and more on consistency. Regular customers notice small differences in flavor, texture, cleanliness, and speed. Over months and years, those details become a restaurant's reputation. For visitors, the experience feels surprisingly dependable. The menu is clear. The purpose of the restaurant is obvious. The kitchen knows exactly what it is doing. That confidence removes another layer of stress that diners in many other countries simply accept as normal. And perhaps the biggest surprise is that the system becomes even smoother after the food has been ordered. The next difference appears at the table itself. Many visitors expect exceptional service in Japan because of the country's reputation for hospitality. What surprises them is that the service often feels attentive without being intrusive. In many restaurants across the United States, servers frequently return to the table with familiar questions. Is everything tasting good? Would anyone like another drink? Can anything else be brought out? These check-ins are usually meant to provide friendly service. Yet they also interrupt conversations and place much of the dining experience in the hands of one busy employee. Japan often takes another approach. The restaurant is designed so that customers need less assistance in the first place. Water is commonly served shortly after guests are seated, often before they ask. Chopsticks, napkins, and condiments are already on the table. Many casual restaurants keep pitchers of cold water or hot tea available so guests can refill their own glasses whenever they like. Instead of waiting for a server to notice an empty cup, customers quietly solve the problem themselves. It is a small detail, but repeated over thousands of meals, it saves time for both diners and staff. Ordering has also evolved in ways that reduce unnecessary delays. Many ramen shops use ticket vending machines placed near the entrance. Customers choose their meal, pay immediately, and hand the printed ticket to the kitchen before sitting down. The system eliminates several steps at once. No waiting for someone to take the order. No waiting for the bill at the end. No confusion about payment. The kitchen receives the order immediately and can begin cooking within moments. For first-time visitors, using one of these machines can seem unusual. Yet, after 1 or 2 meals, many discover that the process is remarkably simple. Other restaurants rely on touchscreen tablets placed at each table. Guests browse the menu, add items whenever they want, and send orders directly to the kitchen with a single tap. Family restaurants often use these systems to allow children, parents, and grandparents to order at their own pace without trying to flag down a server. Some conveyor belt sushi restaurants have taken the idea even further. Customers select plates as they pass by, then order additional items using a screen. Fresh dishes arrive directly to the table on a dedicated track, reducing mistakes and shortening waiting times. The technology is not there to impress customers. It is there to remove friction. Even restaurants that still rely on traditional servers often have clearly defined routines. Orders are repeated back to the customer to confirm accuracy. Meals are delivered efficiently. Empty dishes are cleared quietly without interrupting conversations. Staff members remain observant but avoid hovering near the table. The customer receives attention only when it adds value. This balance reflects a broader philosophy found throughout Japanese service industries. Good service is often measured by how effortlessly everything works. If customers rarely need to ask for help, the system has succeeded. Another major difference appears at the end of the meal. In many American restaurants, diners often finish eating and then wait. They wait for the server to notice they are done. They wait for the check. They wait for the payment to be processed. Sometimes those final steps take almost as long as ordering dessert. Japan often streamlines this entire process. At many restaurants, the bill is placed on the table soon after the food arrives or shortly afterward. It is not a signal for customers to leave. It simply means the payment is already prepared whenever they are ready. When the meal ends, diners carry the bill to the cashier near the entrance. Payment usually takes less than a minute. There is another detail that surprises many visitors from countries where tipping is expected. Japan does not have a tipping culture. The listed price is generally the price paid, aside from any clearly stated taxes or service charges where applicable. Customers do not calculate percentages. They do not wonder whether a certain amount is appropriate. Employees are expected to provide professional service because it is part of their work, not because they hope for a larger tip. This removes one final decision from the dining experience. Nobody leaves wondering whether they accidentally appeared rude or overly generous. The transaction ends as smoothly as it began. By itself, each of these systems saves only a few moments. Together, they transform an ordinary restaurant visit into an experience that feels remarkably effortless. Yet perhaps the most impressive part is not the technology or the efficiency. It is the quiet trust that allows all of these systems to function every single day. What allows so many of these systems to work without constant supervision? The answer is not found in a machine or a payment terminal. It is found in the relationship between customers, employees, and the restaurants themselves. Japan's restaurant culture is built on a high level of everyday trust. That trust does not mean mistakes never happen. It means businesses design their systems with the expectation that most people will follow the rules because doing so benefits everyone. A simple example appears in many self-service restaurants. Customers are often expected to return trays, stack dishes, or place used utensils in designated areas before leaving. There may be no employee reminding them to do it. There may not even be a sign. Most people simply do it. Each individual action saves only a few seconds, but over the course of a busy day, those seconds add up. Employees spend less time clearing tables and more time preparing food or helping guests. Tables become available sooner, and the restaurant serves more customers without feeling rushed. The system depends on thousands of small acts of cooperation. Many American fast food restaurants encourage similar habits, but the expectation is often less consistent. Some customers clean up after themselves, while others leave everything behind for staff. Japan tends to treat these small responsibilities as a normal part of sharing public space. That same mindset extends to noise. Walking into a busy restaurant in Tokyo can feel surprisingly different from entering a crowded restaurant elsewhere. The room is rarely silent. Conversations, dishes, and kitchen sounds create a lively atmosphere, yet the overall volume often remains lower than many visitors expect. Groups laugh together. Friends enjoy long conversations. Families eat with children. But most people naturally avoid speaking loudly enough to disturb nearby tables. There is no rule posted on the wall requiring quiet voices. Instead, people generally understand that everyone is sharing the same space. This creates an environment where conversations feel more relaxed. Customers rarely have to compete with loud music or shouting across the room. Even restaurants located beside busy train stations often maintain a calm atmosphere once inside. The physical design supports this feeling. Many restaurants make excellent use of limited space without making customers feel crowded. Japan's major cities have some of the highest urban densities in the world. Every square meter matters. As a result, restaurant layouts are carefully planned. Counter seating allows solo diners to enjoy a full meal without occupying a table designed for 4 people. Booths create privacy through simple partitions instead of large walls. Compact kitchens reduce unnecessary movement, allowing chefs to work efficiently even in small spaces. Some restaurants occupy the 2nd or 3rd floor of narrow buildings. Others fit inside spaces that might seem too small to operate at all. Yet these businesses often function smoothly because every part of the layout has a purpose. The design encourages a steady flow of customers rather than unnecessary congestion. Even waiting areas are handled differently. Instead of large groups gathering around the entrance, many restaurants use numbered tickets, reservation systems, or digital waiting lists. Customers know where they stand. They are not constantly asking employees how much longer it will be. That predictability lowers stress before the meal has even started. Cleanliness also plays a major role. Restaurant entrances, dining rooms, and restrooms are typically maintained to a consistently high standard. This is not simply about appearance. A clean environment communicates reliability. When tables are wiped promptly, menus are organized, and open kitchens appear orderly, customers naturally develop confidence in the restaurant. The same attention extends to presentation. A bowl of ramen is arranged carefully. A sushi plate is positioned neatly. Even inexpensive meals are often served with attention to balance and detail. The message is subtle but powerful. Every customer deserves care, regardless of how much they spend. None of these practices alone explain why eating in Japan feels so effortless. A ticket machine cannot create trust. Plastic food display cannot create respect. A clean dining room cannot guarantee thoughtful service. The experience works because every element supports the others. The technology reduces waiting. The layout reduces confusion. The staff reduce unnecessary interruptions. The customers reduce unnecessary friction. Together, these pieces form a system that feels almost invisible. Many visitors leave thinking they simply had a pleasant meal. Only later do they realize how many tiny decisions the restaurant quietly made on their behalf. The restaurant itself tells a larger story about Japan. At first glance, the country appears to excel because of technology. Visitors notice ordering tablets, automated payment machines, and conveyor belts carrying sushi through the dining room. These innovations attract attention because they are easy to see. But technology is only part of the picture. The deeper difference is that the entire system is designed around reducing inconvenience for everyone involved. Employees think about how customers move through the restaurant. Customers think about how their actions affect employees and other guests. Restaurant owners think about how small improvements can save time hundreds of times each day. No single person is carrying the entire burden. Instead, responsibility is quietly shared. This reflects a broader idea found throughout everyday life in Japan. Efficiency is often achieved not through speed alone, but through predictability. When people know what to expect, they make fewer unnecessary decisions. When systems remain consistent, they require fewer corrections. When small problems are prevented instead of solved later, everyday life becomes noticeably calmer. For many American visitors, this can be the most surprising lesson. The restaurants are not necessarily luxurious. Many are small. Many are inexpensive. Some serve only one type of meal. Yet they leave a lasting impression because they remove dozens of tiny frustrations that diners elsewhere have simply learned to accept. The result is not just a good meal. It is a dining experience that feels carefully engineered to let people focus on the reason they came in the first place. To enjoy the food and the company without constantly thinking about everything else. Perhaps that is the greatest surprise about eating at restaurants in Japan. The experience does not feel futuristic because of robots, touchscreens, or automated systems. Those features certainly exist and they often work remarkably well. But they are not the real reason the meal feels different. The real difference is that the entire journey has been refined one small step at a time. The menu is easier to understand. The order is simpler to place. The wait feels shorter because the process is more predictable. The payment happens without awkward delays. Even leaving the restaurant is smooth, with no uncertainty about tipping or waiting for the check. None of these improvements are dramatic on their own. Most customers might not even notice them consciously. Instead, they notice something else. They leave feeling relaxed. That feeling is the product of countless small decisions made long before the customer ever walked through the door. Restaurant owners, designers, chefs, and staff have gradually shaped an environment where confusion is reduced, expectations are clear, and unnecessary friction quietly disappears. It is an approach that reflects a broader pattern found across many parts of Japanese daily life. Rather than solving problems after they appear, many systems are designed to prevent those problems from appearing at all. Of course, no country has a perfect restaurant culture. Japan has its own challenges, and not every restaurant delivers the same experience. Busy tourist areas can still have long lines. Popular restaurants can require reservations. Smaller establishments may have language barriers for international visitors. Yet despite those differences, one impression appears again and again. Visitors often arrive expecting great food. They leave remembering how effortless the entire experience felt. And perhaps that raises the most interesting question of all. If something as ordinary as eating lunch can become noticeably less stressful through hundreds of thoughtful design choices, how many other parts of everyday life could feel just as effortless if they were built with the same philosophy?